feel like we're besties now after this. What's up, guys? It's Denise Salcedo. What's up, everyone? It's Denise Salcedo. Welcome to Speak Now Pro Wrestling. It is the last and final edition of NXT 2.0 for the year of 2021. And it is also the go-home show heading into New Year's Eve, which is taking place at the start of next week, January 4th. But today we're going to be talking about the December 28th edition of NXT 2.0, which, to be honest, was not a bad episode whatsoever. We had a lot more good than bad. I think there was probably one, maybe two matches that I wasn't necessarily fond of. There was another match that was promoted that didn't end up happening. So I know people were a little bit upset about that, especially if you were looking forward to it, especially because I think it was one of the only matches that was technically announced for this week's episode. But we're going to go ahead and talk about all of that and more. But before we get started, if you are here and if you are, interested in NXT 2.0, I appreciate you coming on to listen to this post show. Additionally, if you guys haven't already, I urge you guys. So over on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Denise Salcedo, I did an interview with Shawn Michaels, and that was a really interesting conversation. A nice 30-minute, half-hour conversation where we essentially go and talk about everything that's going on NXT 2.0, the new direction, how he's pretty much running everything. And he really gives a good insight into the product and what you're expecting and what things have been like behind the scenes, why certain decisions were made, what talent to look forward to, what also like how things work in NXT 2.0, how they come up with characters, etc. I mean, it is a nice deep dive into the current product. If you guys are interested in that, you can check it out, youtube.com/Denise Salcedo. I also think, like, if you're one of the people, including myself, that's like, man, I really miss the black and gold era of NXT. I don't know if I should give this new NXT era, a chance, if I should give NXT 2.0 a chance. I think listening to that interview might make you feel a lot better about the direction that which they're heading in. It kind of gave me a little bit more of like, I feel like I have a little bit more patience now, at least. So if you guys want to check it out, you are more than welcome to. Also, before we get started, do not forget that this is a very interactive stream. If you guys want to take part in the chat, you are more than welcome to send any comments, opinions, etc. And I will pull up a few and go over some of them as we recap this entire show, because there is so much to talk about here today. Also, lastly, if you do send any super chats into the show, I very much appreciate it. F4W Online does allow me to keep 100% of all proceeds from super chats. So if you do send them in, thank you in advance. But let's get into the show. Everybody, let's get some thoughts, because we're getting some we're getting some cool thoughts here in terms of like what's going on and what people think, etc. All right. So first of all, we got a comment from Crazy Shem, who says, Denise, Trick Williams was my MVP of tonight. Oh my God. He and Malcolm had me dying. Keenan Peele vibes from them. Great stuff. I was entertained. Good show. This was the interesting stuff that when they did the contract signing, I wasn't really looking forward to watching the contract signing, because contract signings always the same exact thing, the same exact formula. But damn, Malcolm Bivens literally made that entire segment. Please, if I were to ever have some show about my life, please let Malcolm Bivens be the one narrating that, because it would be amazingly hilarious. Also, let's go ahead and get into some more. Okay, hold on. Let me see this. Matthew Makovsky says, Denise, your bestie, Kenny Marquez, who most of the people know as Jake Atlas, was at the special dark taping in Orlando today. What? I didn't know that. Thank you so much for sending that information in. I had not seen that just yet. That is really good to know, because the last I heard, he was essentially stepping away from wrestling. So that's very, very exciting. Thank you so much for sending in that comment. But now let's go ahead and get into the show and get into what actually happened on NXT here today. All right, so we kick things off with Grayson Waller. So Grayson Waller has been very interesting as of late on NXT 2.0, because he's kind of gotten the best push. He's gotten one of the best push, not like the best, but a pretty decent push, especially if you start to compare, some other people that we have seen, go to, appear on Raw and also appear simultaneously on NXT. The biggest example of that, the biggest example of, somebody appearing on Raw and also appearing on NXT, but it not necessarily going so great, is Karrion Kross. That is one of the best examples that I can think of, especially because that literally happened just a couple of months ago, where you literally had Karrion Kross, the NXT champion, on Raw, essentially being jobbed out, while on NXT, he's literally in this hot feud with Samoa Joe. And that necessarily did not go so great, but kind of things are going a lot better for Grayson Waller, because he appeared on Monday Night Raw last night, and it wasn't anything like OMG. It wasn't like, oh my God, what an amazing, WWE Raw debut. It wasn't anything like that, but it also wasn't any sort of burial or anything like that. You essentially had Grayson Waller appear during AJ Styles' promo that he's cutting on Omos. Omos was not there. And he's basically telling him about the Grayson Waller effect and how he just wants the rub from Grayson Waller, etc. And they're beefing. And then it turns into, AJ Styles versus Apollo Crews, whatever. And then Grayson Waller is essentially like eliminated from this thing here. But anyway, so he kicks off the show talking about his appearance on WWE Raw, basically saying like how he made it there and this and that. The crowd is chanting AJ Styles, and I'm thinking, okay, we're definitely not getting AJ Styles today, because, or at least in person, because they did not promote it. And if AJ Styles is going to be appearing on NXT, they're going to actually promote it. But so he didn't come out on NXT, but we did get a video package from AJ Styles. And AJ Styles is essentially telling Grayson Waller, hey, I'm going to come to New Year's Evil next week and I'm going to confront you. And so from the looks of it, and they've been promoting it ever since, the entire night, we're going to get AJ Styles and Grayson Waller in a confrontation, not a match, ladies and gentlemen, in a confrontation. Unless they actually do turn this into a match, which I mean, if they're promoting New Year's Evil and they're promoting AJ Styles appearing on New Year's Evil, I feel like you might as well get it out of the way and just do a match. If that's the direction we're getting in, might as well do it at New Year's Evil and quit prolonging it. But who knows, maybe they might wait until, like, I don't know, the next takeover or something like that. But I do want to take a second though, and let's really talk about this, because I feel like this is the interesting part though, is that Grayson Waller, he did cut a nice promo, a nice opening promo. He's doing a good job of getting under people's skin. He's doing a good job at being hated, which I gotta appreciate. I've been liking what Grayson Waller has been doing, and he ended up having a match here tonight against Odyssey Jones. Odyssey Jones, really the best that we've seen of him was at that NXT Breakout Tournament. He was one of the finalists in the Breakout Tournament. Obviously, Carmelo Hayes ended up winning that, but Odyssey Jones was kind of a fan favorite. He has a very likable personality. I know I'm a fan of Odyssey Jones, so he ended up having this match with Grayson Waller. So we got Grayson Waller, Odyssey Jones. There really wasn't much of a really nothing special. It was an okay, decent little match. We ended up seeing Grayson Waller win. And here's the interesting part. So this was Grayson Waller's first singles win on NXT. Grayson Waller has only been in one winning match on NXT, and that was the War Games match. And it wasn't even a singles match, obviously, because it was a War Games match. So it is kind of crazy to think that the guy that's getting the biggest push right now and is getting featured on Raw and on NXT and is in this program with AJ Styles and was the chosen one to essentially attack Johnny Gargano is just getting his first win on NXT, his first singles win. It's kind of crazy when you think about that, but I do think they got a lot. They got so much with Grayson Waller. You guys already know that I've been a fan of his since the very beginning, even though he was losing left and right. But now that they've been able to really show his character, I think he's been the person out of everybody that we're seeing on NXT who's really gotten to really showcase their personality, especially because he does get a little bit more of an opportunity to do so. He gets a lot of promo time. They've been giving him different types of vignettes, etc. And then look, he appeared on WWE Raw. So that's where we're at with Grayson Waller. Guys, what do you think about this? Do you think we're going to get AJ Styles versus Grayson Waller at NXT New Year's Evil? Are we going to get it on a different day? Do you even care? Because here's the thing. This is a major win for Grayson Waller. To even be associated so early on in his career with AJ Styles is phenomenal. It's a phenomenal thing. But for AJ Styles, it's a major step down. But at least they're going to get people to tune into NXT New Year's Eve, especially since they're promoting AJ Styles, at least confronting Grayson Waller, which may or may not turn into a match there. But let's see what you guys are saying, guys. Let's get some comments in here and see what you are. Oh man, Brent M says you just said takeover. Rip. Jesus Christ. Oh God. I keep forgetting. Oh my God. I keep forgetting it's not takeover. Ugh. I was doing so good. When I did the NXT War Games appearance, I kept telling myself, don't say takeover on the air, don't say takeover. And I did it. I was very proud of myself, but damn, I'm going to say it a few more times. Thank you, Brent M, for calling me out on it. Please continue to call me out on it because I don't want to make that mistake anymore. Cadillac Carson sends in a comment saying, I'm still surprised Vince didn't push Odyssey Jones from the beginning of NXT 2.0. He's big and has charisma and he can work. Given the fact that we lost Bronson Reed, I think they could have easily because Bronson Reed was still at a whole other level than Odyssey Jones, but they could have had Odyssey Jones essentially try to fill that spot that Bronson Reed has. Odyssey Jones has shown good potential, not like, he's not Keith Lee level. He's not Bronson Reed level just yet, but he has shown a lot of potential. And given that there's been some other characters on NXT 2.0, which I'm not that crazy about, and I won't, mention any names that I'm like, oh, I'm not really that big of a fan. But I think given some of the characters that we've seen, I would have preferred for them to maybe take more time with Odyssey Jones and give him more of a character versus some of the other ones that we've been seeing. Because I do think there's a lot more upside to a guy like Odyssey Jones and some of the other guys that we've been seeing that have actually been getting some sort of character development, etc. So, but that's just, comparing a couple of people. Thank you so much to Cadillac Carson for sending that comment in. This one is from Justin, who says, you can tell they're really trying to turn Grayson Waller into NXT's version of MJF. He's getting better, but still nowhere near MJF. So look, I do not think that you could probably try and make that argument, but I don't see it that way. At the end of the day, they're going to need a heel. You're going to need a bunch, and you're just going to need somebody to get over, period. I don't see it as them trying to make a different version of MJF, and because I don't see Grayson Waller at that level. Like, he is good, but he is not at the MJF level, so I don't even bother comparing the two. I think Grayson Waller is doing good if he just does what he can do and if they don't try to mold him to be somebody else. If he's just him, if he's himself, then it'll work out great. Because during that promo that he did with that promo that he did tonight on NXT, he had some really funny moments, like making fun of AJ Styles' theme song. I liked that. Him essentially saying that Indy Hartwell was a 10 to Dexter Lumis, but a 3 to him. He had some good little one-liners in there, but I don't think that you can compare him to MJF. Although I get what you're saying, that they're trying to make him an MJF, but I just think that it's too big of a leap to even compare the two. But that's not to take anything away from Grayson Waller, because I think Grayson Waller has probably been one of the best things, aside from like Braun Breaker, to really come out of NXT 2.0. So let's see what else we got here. And I really wish they would have been giving Grayson Waller wins from the start, because if he would have been getting wins from the start and then gotten this push, I think people would have been a little bit more like, I don't know, maybe more into it. But I think for the most part, a lot of the people that I'm seeing talk that watch NXT 2.0 are liking Grayson Waller. So I guess it's working. Scooter Boy says Denise is a black and gold mark. I am definitely the black and gold NXT era mark for sure. All right, let's go ahead and let's get some more comments in here. Let's actually move on, because I think we got just about everything that we needed to say about Grayson Waller and this AJ Styles situation. So either way, we're going to see them confronting one another at NXT New Year's Evil. I'm hoping they might as well just get the match over and done with there. But who knows? Who knows? This is a good thing. This is getting people to at least possibly talk about somebody on the NXT 2.0 product. All right, let's get into MSK. So, okay, let me first start off by saying that I wasn't expecting like if you would have told me this maybe, I don't know, a month ago that, hey, Denise, we're probably going to be getting AJ Styles and Grayson Waller in an actual match, I would have been like, what now? What are you talking about? Where are we going with this? But this match, I wasn't necessarily expecting, especially not this version of the match that we're getting. So MSK come out, and we have not seen them at the CWC since Halloween Havoc, and they get cheered. Good for them, because that's been a whole controversy within itself, whether or not MSK gets cheered and the reasons behind that, which we're not going to get into. But either way, MSK comes out, they get cheered, they get a nice little reaction. Good for them. Great. Let's talk about what actually happens here. So there were some funny moments, because when they came out, Wade Barrett on commentary was basically saying, MSK, these boys, they are high on life. I want something a little bit of what they've been having. Thought that was pretty funny. Okay, cool. They basically go out, they address the NXT universe, the WWE universe, whatever. They address the people. And then Matt Riddle appears on screen, and he basically says, look, I'm not going to be with you guys there in person, but I'm going to be with you guys, I'm going to be with you via spirits, like a higher power. And I kind of thought, all right, they've been doing this whole, getting high weed stuff, teasing for months now. I'm cool with that. It was funny. It was a funny little line. I caught it. Yay me. Great. Then we have Imperium come out, and we have a little bit of Imperium essentially going off on MSK and telling them, hey, you're never going to be champions. And MSK basically, before they can even really get this back and forth between Imperium and MSK, we have Walter pop up on the screen, and then immediately after that, Walter starts going off on MSK. So Matt Riddle pops in, and he's like, I don't like how you're talking to my boys. And before you know it, we got Matt Riddle and Walter sharing a split screen, and they're both, it looking like they're on a Zoom call, which I loved, by the way, because it was just like two polar opposite people. I can't think of two people more different than Walter and freaking Matt Riddle. Okay, it was super weird to see them side by side one another. It was kind of hilarious. But anyways, so Matt Riddle essentially makes this match. He challenges Imperium. So Walter and Fabian and Marcel, all three of them versus freaking MSK and Matt Riddle in a 6-man tag match at New Year's Evil. So I kind of thought that was hilarious. I loved it. It was funny. We're going to get that match, guys. All right, let's see what you guys are saying. Go ahead and send in some thoughts here. Let's see what we got. Cadillac Carson says Riddle. Oh, thank you for the super chat, by the way. Cadillac Carson says Riddle cutting a promo on Walter, calling him Euro trash was great. And Walter being a bad dude, can't wait for this match. There was a lot of interesting back and forth during promos tonight on NXT, which I liked. I liked that we're getting a little bit of different flavors and whatnot. This was definitely one of them. Thank you, Cadillac, for sending this in. Brandon Rosenzen's in a super chat saying MSK gained more fans by getting the Riddle rub. They did, and that was the thing that they wanted to do. As we talked about, MSK wasn't necessarily getting, considering the fact that they were baby faces and that they were champions and that they were having pretty entertaining matches. They weren't getting the reaction that, the people behind the scenes wanted them to get. The intention for them to get was cheered, and they did not get that. So, in order for, they went away for a little bit. When was Halloween Havoc? October something. Jesus, when was that? I don't even know. Whatever. Halloween time. So Halloween time, it's been a while since we've seen them at the actual Capitol Wrestling Center. So I thought that it was a win. Good for them. They're getting cheered. Good stuff. All right, guys, let's see what we got here. Let's get some thoughts. This is from Roy Vincent Cruz, who says Imperium versus Riddle and MSK will be the show stealer. Zeno Hour says, hear me out. Walter destroyed Riddle. Randy Orton seeks revenge. His tag partner, Walter versus Randy Orton. Look, bud, as much as I want to see Walter versus like everybody and their mother, I don't think that this is probably going to happen, but damn. I mean, my list of Walter versus people is very long, but now that I think about it, I think it's legitimately Walter versus everybody. I just want to see Walter kill some people, but like in a nice way. All right. We got a super chat from Sheldon Jackson. Thank you so much to Sheldon, who says, can't believe that was the first time we've seen Walter since losing the NXT UK title to Ilya, which was literally my match of 2021. And I think, so WWE put out I think it was like their top 25 matches today. They ranked it at number 4. I was like, oh, hells no. This match needs to be number 1. Number 1. There was no better match in WWE than that match. I'm sorry. Anyways, but hey, you know what? I'm actually glad that they recognized it in the top 5 at least. Thank you so much to Sheldon for sending this And excuse me, Cadillac Carson. I'm choking on my own saliva on this show. Cadillac Carson sends in a super chat saying, not gonna lie, I just want to see Walter chop the heck out of MSK and Riddle. It's gonna be kind of cool to see like Riddle, do like all of his awesome strikes, because Riddle is very aggressive. His striking is really great. So to kind of see that mixed in with Walter's chops, and Walter's essentially a brick wall, it's going to be a nice little combination. I think the second we get, both of them together in the ring, it's going to be definitely a lot of fun. And let's not like disregard the fact that the Imperium guys are essentially all, aggressive in their own right. And then you have MSK, which is not really an aggressive team, but they're going to be in there. They're going to, pull out some of the fun spots. It's going to be an entertaining match. I think that this match is the reason a lot of people are going to tune into the show. And based off the reaction that I saw from people on Twitter, just the fact that this match was announced, people were responding positively to it. I had somebody say on Twitter, they were like, I'm going to break my fast of watching NXT and I'm going to tune in to watch NXT New Year's Evil. And so that tells me that the fact that they're going out there and bringing in people like AJ Styles and Matt Riddle and Walter to be incorporated into this new version of NXT tells me that they are fully aware fully aware that people are turning away from the NXT product. And this is at least a way to pull some people back, or get some people at least to maybe say, hey, you know what? I might tune into this show. Let's see what they're doing. So it's good, in my opinion, that they're doing this, because they need it. If they want this show to continue, if they want this show to begin thriving, they're going to need to do stuff like this. This is the only way right now until they gain back that, reputation of it essentially being like a hot product, which is, polar opposite of what they were doing with the original NXT, because the original NXT just set like a really high bar. We all know that. And we're doing something different. We're seeing different talent, but at least maybe they can get some people to come back by doing stuff like this. So at least the effort's there, right? Thank you so much to Cadillac Carson for sending in that super chat. All right, guys, let's see what we got here. I like how everybody's sending me in the date for Halloween Havoc. I forget. I was here for it. I know I spoke about it. Just don't remember what day it was. This whole year has been a blur, everybody. It's been a blur. I've talked about so much that it's been a blur. I did the math yesterday, and I kind of went through like my whole entire calendar for the year, and I kind of went through everything. And I'm gonna give you guys like a sneak preview of this. But so we got 52 weeks in a year. So here's 51, because I'm currently using 52, but this is literally my weekly calendar every single week for this year. I'll probably post a picture of this like later on. But so I kind of went through all of this and counted like, hey, how many podcasts have I done? And how many interviews have I done, and all of that stuff. I counted 312, and I feel like I might have even missed stuff because I have terrible writing. And I counted 66 interviews, which was just kind of like a little bit insane. But yeah, So everything's been a blur this year. All right. Zeno Hours says time doesn't exist anymore. It ended in 2019. It really did. Let's not talk about that. Let's move on. All right. Let's get into where are we at after this. All right. So we got everything I wanted to say about MSK. So let's talk about this really quick backstage situation that we got, which led to the main event. We'll talk about the main event afterwards. But essentially, we had Idris Sanofi. He's doing an interview with Mackenzie Mitchell, and I'm thinking, nice, finally. You know, Idris has been pretty impressive. I've liked what we've seen from him, but we have no idea really who he is or what his personality is all about. We don't really know. I don't even think I've ever heard him talk. This may have been the first time I ever heard him talk. So I'm thinking, all right, cool. But then Von Wagner comes in and I'm thinking, ooh, so Von Wagner comes in and he's pissed as hell because Idris essentially defeated him, the week prior. So Von Wagner's not happy about that. But then out of nowhere, Malik Blade comes in and I'm like, oh, they're all friends? Okay. So Malik Blade comes in and he kind of gets in Von Wagner's face and Von Wagner's like, who the hell are you? And shoves him to the, and like pushes him away. So that ends up leading into the main event, right? But, this feels like a really this feels like a demotion for Von Wagner. Von Wagner that kind of started him off, being in that Fatal 4-Way Championship match. He went into a program with Kyle O'Reilly. Now he's essentially in this program with Idris. So it feels like a major demotion, but yeah, there's not really nothing else to say about that. We'll get to the main event once we actually get to the main event. We got a comment from Daniel Rodriguez who says, I'm waiting for MSK WrestleMania moment where they are in a circle acting like they are high and they are with Vince. And he says, wow, that's some good shit, pal. Book it. I will tell you that if they did something like that 70 show where they show all the person's like faces and then you just see like the smoke in the background and you see like first you see like Wesley, then you see Nash Carter, then you see Matt Riddle, like the one shot, and then all of a sudden you see Vince McMahon with the egg. That would be actually really phenomenal. I kind of want that to happen. WWE Creative, if you're listening, book it. Book it. Thank you so much, Daniel Rodriguez, for putting that into my brain now. I appreciate it. Zeno Hour says, Von Wagner showing a little personality. Baby steps. Brandon Rosen says the Von Wagner match wasn't the main event. It was the women's tag match. Jesus, you're right about that. Sorry about that. It was the semi-main event. Pardon me. All right. Let's get into what is it after this? Harland versus the Brian Kendrick. So this was the only match as of Monday that was, as of yesterday, that was announced for NXT. Harland versus Brian Kendrick. And I know this because I was doing the thumbnail for the show. And I was like, who am I going to put on the thumbnail? What matches are announced? Harland versus Brian Kendrick was the only match announced. And I thought, I think I manifested it by accident because I didn't put Brian Kendrick on the thumbnail. I just put Harland and Joe Gacy. And now I'm thinking to myself, did I sense something? What is happening? Because we didn't end up getting Harland versus the Brian Kendrick. We got instead Harland versus Andre Chase. I know a lot of people were looking forward to this match with Brian Kendrick and Harland. I kind of was because we haven't seen Brian Kendrick wrestle in a really long time. I was expecting, Harland to essentially just like kind of kill him, but in an entertaining fashion, in an entertaining manner. And we didn't get it. They play his music. He doesn't come out. And then instead, Andre Chase comes out and basically tells Harland that this is going to be a teachable moment, this and that. And bless, like my good friend Luke Owen says, bless his cotton socks. Bless Andre Chase's cotton socks. But damn, I have not been a fan of this character on NXT. It's too goofy for me, but not goofy in a way that's funny. Goofy in a way where I'm like, I'm not laughing. So unfortunately, I had zero interest in Andre Chase versus Harland. The one thing that I did like, and it ended up being a referee stoppage, the referee stopped it because the one part that I did like was when Harland was just smashing the hell out of the dude's face onto the mat. And that was pretty much it, guys. I do not know why Brian Kendrick wasn't in this match. I don't know if, we all know that there was the COVID outbreak, but you can't really speculate on that. But we already all know that because that was a big story, especially from last night's Raw that we were all talking about. I don't know if that has to do with it. I don't know if maybe this was I don't know if maybe this was the plan all along, just to not have Brian Kendrick in this match, which kind of makes zero sense whatsoever. So I don't think that that's the reason, but I'm just trying to think of another reason. But either way, we didn't get Harland versus Brian Kendrick, which kind of sucks because again, I was looking forward to that. So this wasn't a swerve. This was just a little bit disappointing. Underwhelming for sure. Underwhelming. Thoughts? Send them in, guys. Let's see what you guys are saying. We got a super chat from Brandon Rosen. Thank you so much to Brandon, who says, was Brian Kendrick in COVID-19 protocol? Is that why we didn't see him? Hope he's okay. I don't know. And like, even like, unless that's the thing with COVID, like unless people come out and say, hey, I got COVID, you cannot really speculate or say like, oh, there's a good chance that this person had COVID. Like you can't even say that. Like the person themselves has to come out and say like, hey, this is what's going on. And obviously that's not, but given the reports, given what we've been seeing about the COVID outbreak period, one can assume, but then again, at the same time, you don't always want to assume either. So make that for what you will, guys. It's kind of an icky spot to be in. We got a comment from Darth Thor who says, NXT 2.0 is just not working for me. How can it work for anyone when you know what happens when they get called up? Why waste time on them now? The fans care more than WWE does. And that is a legitimate concern. A legitimate concern, because so many times we have been stuck in this like icky situation where you're like, obviously, if you want to make stars, they got to go to Raw or SmackDown. That's where the stars are going to essentially be made. That's where you're going to get your Royal Rumble moments and your WrestleMania moments and all of that good stuff. They need to be on the main roster. But at the same time, like you look at somebody that you like on NXT and you're thinking, oh, I want to see them on the main roster because I want them to become big giant stars. But then at the same time, because of the precedence that has been set, and you see what they've done with, recent names like Karrion Kross, Keith Lee, and so many others, Finn Balor even, you just start to think like, okay, it's not a good idea to have people called up. Hit Row, for example. So many examples, to be honest. And so you're kind of stuck in this tough situation where you want people to go to the main roster so that they can become big stars. But then at the same time, you don't want them to go to the main roster because then you know that it's not necessarily always the best thing for them. So it is kind of, what do you do? What do you do about that? Like, it's a really tough situation. So I think, but I know that this is wishful thinking, but they need to start, whenever they start getting these new crops of talent from NXT 2.0 going over to the main roster, they need to change people's minds. They need to gain that trust from the audience again, gain the trust that they're going to do something with these talents, because the sole purpose of NXT 2.0, especially this new version of NXT 2.0, is to get that talent, groom them, get them ready for TV, not for TV, but for the main roster, to get them ready to become actual full-fledged stars. That is the goal of NXT 2.0. There were, with the old version of NXT, there were all of those people could have literally been on the main roster, but, they were there for years, and they never went to the main roster. But now it's like, my assumption now, especially based on what I have spoken about with, Shawn Michaels and Beth Phoenix, people from NXT that have done interviews with me, they all have pretty much given me the illusion that this is, hey, you get started now in NXT 2.0. We get them completely ready to go to the main roster. They go to the main roster, and that's that. Whether or not that's going to happen, it's going to happen for some people. It's not going to happen for everybody, but you essentially have to prove to the fans now that, hey, whenever somebody does get called up, we're going to treat them with at least some sort of dignity, some sort of respect, at least put forth some strong creative behind them. You got to convince the fans. You got to have the trust for the fans and also for the performers going to the main roster. You need to build that relationship. You got to rebuild that trust and say, hey, if you come to the main roster, we're going to do something with you. And a big test of that, if it's going to be Braun Breaker, and here's the thing, Braun Breaker, if they bring up Braun Breaker, he's the person that you're like, okay, this guy's going to be a massive star, right? So, but then again, a lot of people also thought that about Keith Lee, and a lot of people thought that about Karrion Kross. But it's like, okay, Braun Breaker, when they do call him up, he's going to be like that big. To me, he's going to be like a big test. Like, are they going to take? Are they going to give him a legitimate and respectful push? Are they going to give him legitimate, good creative on the main roster? So it is going to be this thing of once they start calling people up from the new crop of NXT talent, they need to make sure that you take away the stigma of going to the main roster being a bad thing. I know that that's kind of a long explanation, but that's kind of just what I wanted to get at there for a second. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and this is a comment from Roy who says, I watched your interview with Shawn Michaels. It's great to hear the goal and vision of NXT 2.0 from the legend himself. Now I understood. Yeah, it was. I think everybody that has listened to the interview and has gone back to me and has given me feedback, the two things that I have heard the most is one, wow, he was really honest, because he was. And two, I understand more of what they're doing with NXT 2.0. Those were the two main like feedbacks that I got from from this interview and people who actually watched it. Matt Hensley says, I put off watching NXT 1.0 because I knew once they got called up, everything would be ruined for these amazing wrestlers. And when 2.0 started, I thought it would be different. So I tuned in. I was wrong. Yeah, it's interesting, guys. It's very, very interesting. All right. Let's see where we're going at with this. Cool. So let's get into we got an in-ring debut, guys, and it was not a good one. I feel really bad, but we got Tiffany Stratton, her in-ring debut against Fallon Henley, who is Tesha Price. But Tiffany Stratton, I like the character because I'm into the bougie types of character. I'm into that. Like, you give me a bougie female, oh, I'm so into that. Like, I like that type of character. I've been liking the vignettes. I've been liking the promos. She's a daddy's girl. I get the character. It's very easy to understand. I understand what she is. Cool. She comes out and there's zero reaction, zero. And given the fact that they've been promoting her for weeks now, for weeks since pretty much the launch of this NXT 2.0, and for there to be zero reaction was, first of all, not a good sign. Because let me tell you something, when Veer Mahan comes to Raw, when he finally comes to Raw, he's going to get a pop. I guarantee it. And if he doesn't, he'll at least get one from me at home. All right. But anyway, so she comes out, gets zero reaction. I love her gear, though. She looks great. Very beautiful. Nice gear. All of that good stuff. But this match was very, 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 Jesus. It was so it was very basic, just a bunch of rest holds. She did a shoulder tackle. She did, she ran the ropes a little bit. She slams Fallon, and then this was a very basic match, guys. The finish was bad. I did not like the finish. It was just, so she did the handspring elbow, and she didn't land it. So like the flips and all of that was great because she's a cheerleader. She's a gymnast. So she has that really nice athletic background. But when she went for the elbow, she didn't necessarily connect because I think Fallon was like right here and then her elbow was like right here. So they just did not connect whatsoever. And they didn't even replay the finish because it was not a good finish. So it was kind of a little bit icky. It wasn't the best debut. But we'll see where she goes from here. I know that this is obviously her pretty much getting her learning, really. I don't know how many matches she's had now. I know she had a couple of matches on 205 Live, but she's athletic. We did see that. We saw her athleticism. Now it just needs to connect with the wrestling that she's learning at the PC, and hopefully she can transfer that. Hopefully she can adjust her gymnastic background nicely in with wrestling. This wasn't it, though. This match was very, very simplistic, not what you want to be seeing really on NXT. But again, this is a new NXT 2.0. This is a new NXT, pardon me. All right. Let's see what we got here. This is from Patrick Spear, who says, I do like Tiffany, and the thought process of appealing to the younger male audience is very present with this debut because she's great, but it just didn't click. Yeah, she's great look. And even like, I feel like even as a woman, I can get behind a character like Tiffany because again, I like the bougie character. I'm into that. Like if she was gonna come out and be like a Mean Girls, White Chicks, Clueless type of gal, I'm interested in that. I like that. I watch all those movies, these Legally Blonde characters. I'm into those types of characters. So it could work. It just needs a lot of work. And I don't think she's comfortable enough yet to and that makes sense. She's going out there. This is, she's new, but you can tell she's not confident enough yet in the character that she's presenting as well. It hasn't clicked just yet, but we'll see. She can get a lot more comfortable and we'll see where she goes from there because I want to root for this character. I like this character. I want to root for it. It just wasn't it tonight. Brandon Rosen says Tiffany Stratton's debut was not good. She looked uncomfortable. I didn't even think Tiffany herself was into this character. That's the weird thing because, again, we talk about who was doing this somewhat a different version of this character, but similar, was Frankie Monet. And she definitely had it down. Like she was bad and bougie, had the promo down, had the wardrobe down, had the idea and the concept down. Let's not even get into the wrestling because she definitely has that down. So it is unfortunate that we kind of got like a replacement of that. And I get it. She's doing a little bit more of a different, the daddy's little princess girl, whatever. She's doing something a little bit different, but Frankie Monet was doing something similar to that was just a little bit better had they actually let her really execute that, though. Thank you to Brandon Rosen for sending that in a super chat as well. This one is from Sheldon Jackson. Thank you so much for also sending in a super chat, who says, I can see Tiffany Stratton and Grayson Waller versus Indy Hartwell and Dexter Lumis down the road. We're probably definitely going to be seeing that. And who knows? Maybe throw in Zion Quinn and Elektra Lopez. We might see that as well. Who knows? We got a couple more comments here. This one's from Justin, who says, judging by that match, Tiffany has a long way to go. Looked much more like a gymnast than a wrestler. Exactly. And if she can learn to, blend those two things nicely, then she'll be entertaining to watch once she learns to, blend both worlds of gymnastics and wrestling. I mean, Lord knows I cannot do a front flip or a back flip. So bless her heart on that as well. Okay, let's get into... All right, let's move on. All right, Tony D'Angelo does a promo from his couch, basically recapping his attack on Pete Dunne. It was funny. Didn't take Tony D'Angelo to be a plant guy. Good stuff. All right, contract signing. This was really fun, guys. So I kind of mentioned this at the top of the show, but I was not really looking forward to this contract signing. I was kind of like, I don't really care, but all right, let me pay attention. I ended up loving this. So first of all, we're going to see Roderick Strong, Carmelo Hayes at New Year's Evil. This is the contract signing for that. They're going to be unifying both the titles finally. But this whole thing, guys, was that the reason why I like this whole thing and why I saw so many other people on Twitter like this was all thanks to one person, and that is Malcolm Bivens. And you can also add Trick Williams because they had a really nice back and forth. This was awesome. But Malcolm Bivens made this. He made this. He is funny as hell. We already knew that. But Jesus Christ, thank you so much, Daniel Perez, for sending in this massive super chat. You didn't send in a comment, but thank you so much, Daniel. I really, Jesus, I thank you so much for sending this in. Thank you. It's not enough. One more thank you. Thank you, Daniel. Oh my God, stop. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. All right, I can't stop saying thank you. All right, Malcolm Bivens. So this is really funny. So he basically comes out. Trick Williams is going off, cutting a promo, this and that. And from the second Trick Williams first debuted onto NXT and he took the mic, I loved his like mic work, and I know a lot of people did not like it. I know a lot of people were like, we don't know what he's saying, and he's this and he's that, and I'm like, okay, I get it. You might not have been able to decipher everything that he was saying. I get it. but at least he was saying stuff with personality and charisma. I said this at the beginning. I rather not understand, but at least have it be charismatic than it being like me fully understanding the promo and it being the most robotic thing ever. So I'm sorry. I've liked Trick Williams right from the start. So he comes out, and that's kind of carried on with him. I think ever since he got that criticism from the people when he first debuted onto NXT, they've been sort of carrying that over in, every week on NXT, kind of throwing a little bit of mentions of not really able to understand Trick Williams. So it's the same thing that we get here today. He's going off, cutting this promo, and then they essentially do this thing where Malcolm Bivens ends up translating to Roderick Strong what Trick Williams said in a way that Roderick Strong could understand. And then Roderick Strong basically tells Malcolm Bivens, like, hey, can you tell him this? And then we get this, we get Malcolm Bivens essentially doing this, basically just he kind of like went off, but in a way that was kind of hilarious as hell. Like, I don't know how else to describe this, guys, but he basically just kind of switched it up and made it in a way so that they could understand, talk their talk sort of deal. This was hilarious. If you did not watch NXT, go at least out of your way to watch the first half of the contract signing, because that's where all of this goes down. And I can't explain really the translation and how all that worked out. It was just really freaking funny. They signed the contract. That's the end of it. Afterwards, Trick Williams gets in the face of Malcolm Bivens. So the Creed brothers essentially put him through a table. Some good stuff. This was funny. Oh, and there was also a moment where you're getting this back and forth between Roderick and Trick and Carmelo and Malcolm Bivens and all of these people. And then you have Wade Barrett, who's in the middle, and he's like, I don't understand any of it. I can't do his accent or his voice, but it was hilarious as hell. Craig Shem says translate, Denise. No chance in hell. Sorry, guys. I can't do a good translation of anybody. I'm not good at voices. And if you guys know what I mean, if you don't know what I mean, never mind. I was gonna say go watch the Fightful freaking holiday stream with Southern Grinch. That's the if you watch that, you will get what I mean by me and my voices. All right, let's see what we got here. Brandon Sedal says Jesus getting a big shout out tonight. Yeah, for reals. He's getting super over on that one for sure. All right. Let's see. Chris Cage 2X says, I understand Trick Williams because I speak street talk. I don't. I mean, I kind of get it. Like, I understand it. I just don't speak it, Does that make sense? All right. And I don't know. Okay, I'm moving on. Where am I going with this? What the hell's next? All right, Solo Sikoa versus Santos Escobar. All right, so first of all, I want to put over that I really liked how they made this match. I think how they made this match is what made me kind of get into it a little bit more. So we all know that we've been having this, whole lovers drama between Zion Quinn and Elektra Lopez. So Santos Escobar and Legado del Fantasma, the all three guys, are confronting Elektra Lopez about Zion Quinn and what the hell is going on between them. And in the middle of this family discussion, Solo Sikoa just happens to open a door, go out into the hallway, and just happens to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. And he's like, oh, my bad. And he essentially closes the door and he leaves, or like he tries to leave, but Santos Escobar is like, no. Like, you come here. You came in here and you butted in our family affairs. Like, you better apologize for what you did. And Solo Sikoa's like, damn, like, sorry, bro. And Santos Escobar is like, nah, you got to apologize. Solo Sikoa does not apologize. So then this ends up being a match. Don't ask me why. I just freaking love the way that this match was made. I just thought it was funny. I thought that they all played their parts really well. And Solo Sikoa was just like, my bad, bro. Like, you don't have to be so upset about this. But Santos Escobar was super freaking triggered by this. So I love this. Anyway, so the match itself was really nothing. It was not a great match. It was essentially just Solo Sikoa and Santos Escobar sizing each other up. There was one good spot, and it wasn't even the greatest. It was just Santos Escobar hitting a high knee on Solo Sikoa right before the commercial break. They come back from commercial break. They're still doing this match. Nothing special. They're working the match. Then Zion Quinn comes out. Him and freaking Electro Lopez have this like eye-to-eye moment, just really quickly, very briefly, and Santos Escobar sees that. He gets upset and essentially takes out Zion Quinn, and so this ends up costing him the match. Solo Sikoa ends up hitting him with a super kick, gets him with the splash, gets the pin, 1, 2, 3. He continues his winning streak. This was now his 4th win on NXT, and that's pretty much what we got from this. The match was not great, but it was fun in like another way. Maybe. Look, I will say this, and I tweeted this out, but I was kind of really thinking about this today, and I was worried that Legado del Fantasma was not going to fit into this new version of NXT 2.0. I was really concerned about that. I was like, man, they're not doing much with Santos Escobar. He's been thrown into this like really weird, lovers drama with Zion Quinn and Electro Lopez. So I was really concerned about that, but I feel like they're starting to fit in a little bit nicely into NXT 2.0. I mentioned this last week, but I'm finally buying in the Zion Quinn, Electro Lopez love story. I know I said this last week, but I'm officially basic and I'm interested. I want to see where this is going to go. Am I going to get a payoff to this? Are we going to get another wedding? What's going to happen? I don't know, but I'm interested and I hate myself for it. Okay. But I did put out a tweet basically saying that Legado del Fantasma, when I think about the fact that they're not on the main roster, it kind of like bums me out because I think that they would add so much. You got freaking Raul Mendoza and Joaquin Wilde, who are essentially a phenomenal tag team. I love what they're doing. They can add so much more to the tag team division. Tired of seeing the same old matches over and over again. Throw in another team in there. On top of that, Santos Escobar literally has been proving himself nonstop that he is a freaking star. When he was NXT Cruiserweight Champion, that was like the best thing that they had done with the belt in a very long time. I was really hoping that we would get to see him become NXT North American Champion, and unfortunately, we still haven't gotten that, which was kind of a bummer. But it kind of bums me out that we don't have like a hot, Latino star or Latino group on the main roster. Like, I want to see Santos Escobar and Joaquin and Raul Mendoza. And Electro Lopez. I want to see all of them, thrive and get something, on the main roster. So it just kind of bummed me out. But then at the same time, I'm like, the second I posted that, every single comment was like, look what happened to Hit Row. Look what happened to Hit Row. And I'm like, yeah, that bums me out too. What can you do? We got a super chat from Colin on the Rocks. Thank you so much to Colin on the Rocks. It says love to you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for sending in a super chat. Really makes me happy. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Let's see what we got here, guys. Let's go through comments. We got one from Maj Motar who says Santos Escobar is world champion material. Yeah, he is, and I've been saying this for a long time, but I feel really bad that we don't get to see like I'm so tired of always seeing like the same thing happen for all the Latino stars. I want to see somebody actually get to the top. Like, I'm even surprised that they're even giving a little bit of dignity to Angel Garza and Humberto. And there's so much more that they could really be doing with Angel Garza. He has so much charisma. I liked everything that he was doing prior with Andrade and Zelina. All of that was really fun. But I mean, really, really, our only hope right now, is Dominic. All right. Let's go through some more comments here. This one is from, let's see. We got so many different comments here. This one's from Crazy Shem. It says the Hurt Business was great. WWE doesn't like factions. As soon as they hit the main roster, they're going to break them up. Yeah. Well, they had the Hurt Business last for a little bit, at least most recently. But yeah, everybody just goes right away to the Hit Row, and that didn't work out so great now, did it? All right, let's see. After this, we got Von Wagner versus Malik Blade. I didn't even pay attention to this match. Von Wagner won. Moving on to the main event. Io Shirai, Kaylee Ray versus Cora and Raquel, with the winners essentially going on to face Mandy Rose at NXT New Year's Evil. I don't understand why we had this match, because we had already established that it was going to be Mandy Rose versus Raquel Gonzalez versus Cora Jade. I do not understand why they just didn't swap I don't understand why they didn't swap this. They could have done this match last week when the announcement was made for this match. So when they essentially announced this match, I thought, what do I care? It was already supposed to be Raquel and Cora Jade, and we already know it's still going to be Raquel and Cora Jade. They have the match. It was nice. Kaylee Ray and Raquel Gonzalez going at it was really fun. I enjoyed the aggression in this match. Cora Jade and Raquel Gonzalez get the win, and I'm thinking, it's still the same thing. I knew it was going to be the same thing, and it stayed the same thing. I think they should have just swapped this. They should have just had Mandy Rose say what she said today when she said that they were going to make this match, and whoever won got to face her. Cool. And then this week, they could have been like, I don't know, done something else, in preparation for their actual triple threat match. So I don't understand why we got this backwards. I really, really do not. But okay, fine. This was the main event. We're still getting the exact same match at NXT New Year's Evil. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this New Year's Evil card, and let's talk about some of these matches that we have going on. So we got that 6-man tag team match, Riddle and MSK versus Imperium, which will be Walter, Fabian Eichner, and Marcel Barthel. And so they're having this match. I think this is probably going to be like the most anticipated match aside from the main event. Good stuff there. I'm excited for it. AJ Styles and Grayson Waller is not a match, at least as of right now, as of this post show. It is not a match just yet, but there is going to be that confrontation, which could possibly be leading to a match. Then we also have the singles match to unify the NXT Cruiserweight Championship and the NXT North American Championship between Roderick Strong and Carmelo Hayes. I'm looking forward to this match too. I think Carmelo Hayes obviously is the right person to win this match, and that's what I'm expecting to see. Then we got Mandy Rose versus Raquel Gonzalez versus Cora Jade for the NXT Women's Championship. I'm expecting Mandy Rose to get the win. And if she doesn't get the win, maybe Cora Jade, but I do not see the belt going back to Raquel Gonzalez. I think Raquel is just there to take the pin, believe it or not. That's what I think. Tommaso Ciampa versus Braun Breaker for the NXT Championship. I definitely think that this is going to be Braun Breaker's night. Again, if I'm wrong, I would be surprised. If I'm wrong, well, I was going to say, if Braun Breaker doesn't win, then I'm for sure positive he's going to be in the Royal Rumble. But if he does win, there's still a chance he may still be in the Royal Rumble. You guys know how this stuff works. I'm still thinking it's Braun Breaker. Anyways, New Year's Evil is going to be taking place next week. I cannot wait. We got some good stuff on this card. All right, let's see. Let's get some more comments here. Let's see where we're going here. Daniel Rodriguez says, honestly, I have to say that I'm glad you are sticking with doing NXT coverage. Not a lot of people are doing it, and you're doing it since the beginning. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I know that a lot of people, and trust me, I've seen the lack of interest in NXT 2.0, and I'm just like, damn, this hurts me as a podcaster too, guys. I'm rooting for the product here, because if the product is good, then people will tune in, and that means people want to talk about it afterwards. So I'm rooting for NXT 2.0 here, guys, because NXT 2.0 succeeding means my podcast succeeds. So we'll see. Either way, let's go ahead and do some really quick promos, because tomorrow I will be back on here for AEW Dynamite. So please make sure you guys tune in for that. That's going to be a good time. We got New Year's Smash. A lot of great stuff booked for that show. So make sure you guys tune in. That's my most popular show of the week. So make sure you guys come in for that. Always a really good time. I will not be here on New Year's Eve because I am throwing a New Year's Eve get together at my house. I got a little bit of family coming over, mom, siblings, grandparents. They're going to be here. We're going to have dinner and all of that good stuff. So I will not be on here for New Year's Eve. However, I don't know if I'm going to be here on New Year's Day, actually. Well, probably not, because I have day one to talk about afterwards. So I think you'll just be seeing me Wednesday, and then after that, I will be back on here on Tuesday. Either way, subscribe to F4W Online. I always schedule my streams well in advance so you guys know when I'm live on here and when I'm not live and when I'm live other places. Other than that, please make sure you guys follow me on Twitter and or on Instagram at _ Denise Salcedo. Head on over to youtube.com. Check out that interview with Shawn Michaels, and I will see you guys back here tomorrow for AEW Dynamite. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you so much. Bye.